let's jump right into this explainer. Today we are looking at Psalm 34. And you know what's really fascinating about this specific piece of ancient literature is how it takes high-stakes, literal life-or-death survival and just blends it seamlessly with incredibly practical, everyday life advice. So let's dive right into the text itself and unpack the author's argument, their artistry, and the worldview they're pushing here.
We've got a lot of ground to cover, so here's our roadmap. Section 1 is the historical backstory. Section 2 looks at a hidden literary structure. Section 3 is the invitation to experience. Section 4 covers a guide to good living. And finally, Section 5 contrasts the righteous versus the wicked.
All right, Section 1, the historical backstory.
So right at the very top of the document, literally before the actual poetry even starts, we get this wild historical footnote. It reads, "Of David, when he changed his behavior before Abimelech, so that he drove him out and he went away." This is pointing to a moment in history where David essentially had to fake being completely out of his mind to escape a king who wanted him gone. Now, as far as ancient survival tactics go, pretending to be absolutely crazy so you get kicked out instead of, well, executed, that is pretty extreme. But hey, it worked.
And this intense survival story is exactly why the opening lines carry so much weight. In verse 4, the speaker claims, "I sought the Lord, and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears." When you anchor that to the whole backstory of barely escaping Abimelech, "delivered me from all my fears" definitely isn't just some empty religious platitude. It's totally grounded in this visceral, lived experience of sheer terror followed by sudden, unbelievable relief.
Let's move on to Section 2, a hidden literary structure. Now, even though the emotions in this text are incredibly raw, the actual construction of it is remarkably disciplined. There's this tiny little detail tucked away in the academic footnotes revealing that Psalm 34 is actually an acrostic poem. That means in the original Hebrew, each verse begins with the successive letters of the alphabet. It's like a giant puzzle. The author actually took this chaotic, terrifying experience of fear and intentionally poured it into a meticulously crafted piece of art, perfectly designed for memorization. It is definitely not just a random stream of consciousness.
Which brings us to Section 3, the invitation to experience.
This is where we hit verse 8. And if you're familiar with this text, you know this is one of its most famous lines. "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." Just look at the language there. It's highly sensory, right? The author isn't saying, "Hey, sit back, relax, and let me give you a theological lecture." No, it's an active, hands-on invitation. The text is literally daring the reader to jump in and test the claim for themselves. It's a massive shift from just watching someone else's historical survival story to a direct invitation for personal participation.
And to really drive this home, the author uses this striking, almost surprising imagery in verse 10. Think about young lions for a second. They were the absolute apex predators of the ancient world, pure strength, highly capable. Yet, the text points out that even they can suffer want and hunger. On a flip side, the text claims that those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. It's a really fascinating comparison. The argument here is that relying purely on your own raw strength is eventually going to fall short, whereas taking refuge in this higher power offers ultimate security.
Okay, Section 4, a guide to good living.
So in verse 12, the author drops this great rhetorical question right in our laps. What man is there who desires life and loves many days that he may see good? It's such a brilliant hook, isn't it? It instantly connects this ancient religious poetry to a deeply relatable, universal human desire. I mean, who doesn't want a long, fulfilling life filled with good things? By asking this, the author practically guarantees they have everyone's full attention right before they drop the actual formula for how to get there.
And the text immediately answers its own question. It breaks the secret down into 4 highly actionable steps in verses 13 and 14. Let's look at them. Step 1, keep your tongue from evil. Step 2, keep your lips from deceit. Notice how it starts right there with your words. Then it moves to actions. Step 3, turn from evil and do good. And finally, step 4, seek peace and pursue it. It's essentially an ancient life hack. The text is arguing that a fulfilling life isn't actually about wealth or power. It's entirely about ethical behavior, honesty, and the relentless pursuit of peace.
That takes us to Section 5, the righteous versus the wicked.
These concluding verses really lay out a worldview of absolute moral polarity. The text claims that for the righteous, the Lord hears them, delivers them from troubles, and metaphorically keeps their bones unbroken. It's a picture of total protection. But for the wicked, those who choose evil, the fate is pretty grim. The text states that the face of the Lord is against them. Affliction will actively slay them, and they are ultimately condemned.
The author is making a really hardline argument here. Your ethical choices have definitive, inescapable outcomes.
But right in the middle of all these incredibly bold claims about ultimate deliverance and harsh judgment, the text hits pause. It offers this deeply empathetic, highly grounded observation in verse 18. It says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit." Even while it promises protection, the author firmly acknowledges the reality of human suffering. In fact, the very next verse outright admits that the righteous face many afflictions. So the text definitely doesn't promise a magic life free of pain. It openly recognizes our brokenness and our troubles, but insists that ultimate deliverance remains steadfast through the whole shebang.
And that really leaves us with a fascinating final thought to ponder. We started out looking at a guy literally running for his life, who then crafted this intricate alphabetical poem to process his narrow escape. But at its absolute core, this text poses a timeless question. Who among us actually desires a long and good life? And it lays out a highly specific path to get there, guarding our words, doing good, and seeking peace. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll leave you with this. Looking at this highly structured ancient wisdom, are we still actively pursuing peace to achieve that good life today? Thanks so much for exploring this text with me. Keep questioning, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.